Imagine it is 11 p.m. on a quiet Wednesday night. You are sitting at your kitchen table, the glow of your laptop screen illuminating a task you have avoided for months. You aren't just glancing at your bank balance. You are finally calculating your true net worth, the cold, hard subtraction of everything you owe from everything you own. It is a moment of reckoning where vague mental estimates meet the reality of savings accounts, retirement funds, car depreciations, and that lingering credit card debt from years ago. Whether the final number brings a brief sense of relief or a sudden urge to close the laptop and walk away, that figure is more than just a score. It is a vivid description of the version of life you are currently allowed to lead. Your net worth determines your relationship with stress. For some, a $900 car repair is merely a Tuesday, an annoyance to be handled. For others, that same $900 represents a full-blown crisis that threatens their monthly stability. This number dictates whether a job offer in a distant city is a thrilling new chapter or a financial impossibility you can't even afford to consider. The fascinating part of this journey is that every financial level feels entirely different from the inside. Yet many people with identical incomes end up in vastly different realities after a decade. Understanding why this happens requires looking past the surface of making decent money and identifying the specific traps hidden at every stage of the wealth ladder. We begin at level 1. Negative net worth. This is the starting point for millions of households, often characterized by the broke tax. Consider a 23-year-old recent graduate earning a $38,000 salary. On paper, it feels like real money until taxes, insurance, and FICA claim nearly half of every paycheck. When you factor in $41,000 in student loans and an emergency credit card balance, you are left with a net worth of approximately minus $43,000. At this level, the financial system actually charges you extra for having nothing. Banks collect billions in overdraft fees from people who didn't have enough for a $24 transaction, and payday loans offer a temporary fix with interest rates nearing 400%. The exit from this first level isn't found in a sudden burst of motivation. It is found in stopping the bleeding. You have to halt the cycle where interest grows faster than you can realistically save. It is about surviving the system's traps long enough to reach level 2, where your net worth finally crosses into the positive, moving between $0 and $10,000. Even here, you are often just one bad week away from disaster. While having a small cushion of $2,800 is a massive achievement, considering 37% of adults can't handle a $400 emergency, the danger here is the relief trap. As you move into level 2 and 3, the immediate panic of debt begins to subside, but a new, quieter danger takes its place. At level 2, $0 to $10,000, the biggest hurdle is confusing relief with safety. You have finally escaped the negative numbers and perhaps built a tiny cushion. This is when the urge to treat yourself becomes most potent. A slightly nicer apartment or a car with affordable monthly payments can quickly evaporate the savings it took you 18 months to build. To move forward, you must realize that having a few $1,000s makes you better off than most, but it doesn't make you secure. Level 3, ranging from $10,000 to $50,000, is what we call the engine phase. You might be 29 years old, earning more, and finally cutting out expensive habits like excessive food delivery that silently drains thousands annually. At this stage, Your net worth might hit $18,000, but there is a harsh reality most people miss. Your money isn't really working for you yet. Even with a 7% return, an $18,000 portfolio only generates about $1,260 a year, roughly the cost of 2 car payments. In this phase, you are still the sole engine of your wealth. The trap at level 3 is stagnation. Many people leave their hard-earned cash in a standard savings account, earning 0.5%, while inflation at 3% slowly picks their pockets. The exit strategy here is moving from saving to investing. This means opening a brokerage account, starting a Roth IRA, and most importantly, capturing your full employer match. That match is essentially the only guaranteed 50% to 100% return on investment that exists. It is quite literally free money that many people leave on the table. As you climb toward level 4, $50,000 to $100,000, you hit the house and car squeeze. By age 33, you might have a $74,000 net worth on paper, a home in a nice neighborhood, and a reliable car. From the outside, you look like a success story. However, the internal math tells a different tale. Between a $2,050 mortgage, a $618 car payment, insurance, student loans, and groceries, your $5,000 monthly take-home pay might leave you with less than $500 for everything else. You are performing wealth while barely surviving the maintenance costs of your lifestyle. The most dangerous aspect of level 4 is the financing of losses. While a millionaire typically spends 1% of their net worth on a vehicle, a level 4 household often spends closer to 30%. Financing a car that loses $6,000 in value the moment it leaves the lot is essentially paying interest for the privilege of losing money. The belief that you have arrived because you have the house and the car is a facade. Your true progress depends on whether these assets are building your future or just anchoring you to a desk for the next 30 years. Crossing the $100,000 threshold into level 5, $100,000 to $250,000, is often the hardest part of the entire journey. You've likely been grinding for over a decade to see 6 figures in your accounts. There is a psychological hurdle here. The gains still feel small, and you might feel like you're doing something wrong. But as Charlie Munger famously noted, the first $100,000 is a total slog, but you must do it. The math is almost cruel. The first $100,000 can take nearly 8 years of disciplined saving, but the next $100,000 might only take 5, and the fifth might take less than 3. The first $100,000 represents 25% of the effort of your journey to $1 million, even though it's only 10% of the actual money. At $30,000 invested, your annual return barely covers a month's rent. But once you hit $500,000, that same 7% return starts covering your groceries, utilities, and insurance without you lifting a finger. Your money, your intern, has finally become a full-time employee. However, the trap at level 5 is lifestyle creep. Every time you get a raise, your apartment gets nicer, and your car gets an upgrade, leaving your savings rate lower than it was when you made less money. The only exit is automation, moving the money before you ever see it in your checking account. Level 6, $250,000 to $500,000, introduces a sophisticated trap: the golden handcuffs. At this stage, your household might be making $162,000 a year, and life feels genuinely fine. You aren't stressing at the grocery store anymore, yet you still lie awake at night worrying about the future. The reason is simple math. A $340,000 nest egg only generates about $13,600 a year in retirement. You are 44% of the way to comfortable, but nowhere near wealthy. The handcuff exists because your life is now calibrated to a high double income. Your mortgage, cars, and kids' activities require both salaries to remain functional. Neither partner can quit, take a lower-paying but more meaningful job, or get sick without the whole structure wobbling. It doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like the life you worked for, which is exactly why it's so effective at keeping you stuck. However, somewhere around the $200,000 to $250,000 mark, a specific mechanism kicks in: the crossover point. This is when your annual investment returns start exceeding your annual contributions. Compounding begins to do more work than your actual labor. Your main job at this stage is simply to stay out of your own way and not blow the momentum. If you can avoid the temptation to over-leverage your lifestyle, you are officially entering the snowball phase. When you reach level 7, $500,000 to $1 million, the financial snowball is officially rolling. You might check your accounts one morning and realize the number has arrived quietly, without fanfare. At $500,000, an 8% return generates $40,000 a year. While you are stuck in a boring meeting or driving to soccer practice, your portfolio is working like a full-time staffer who never asks for a raise or needs health insurance. The trap at this level is dead equity. Many people have half of their net worth locked in a house they can't touch without selling it. They have a high net worth, but very little deployable cash. The key at level 7 is to stop viewing home equity as your primary investment and focus on liquid brokerage accounts. Level 8, $1 million to $3 million, is often called the millionaire disappointment. Many expect a life-changing sensation when they hit the $1 million mark, but for most, it happens on a random Tuesday while wearing an old shirt and making coffee. The clarity and arrival feeling rarely show up. Why? Because $1 million at a 4% withdrawal rate only generates $40,000 a year. It isn't never think about money again money. It is think about money slightly less frantically money. There is a profound reality about who actually reaches this level. A study of 10,000 millionaires found that the most common professions aren't tech founders or viral investors. They are engineers, accountants, teachers, and managers. Nearly 80% received zero inheritance, and a third never even made 6 figures in a single year. They simply invested consistently in boring places for a long time. They drive used Toyotas and Hondas, while the people performing wealth are making $1,100 monthly payments on luxury trucks. The trap at level 8 is the moving goalpost. 1 million felt like the finish line until you got there. Now, 3 million seems like the real requirement. This hedonic adaptation has derailed more retirement plans than any stock market crash. If you don't define what enough looks like, you will spend your entire life chasing a number that keeps retreating. Once you cross into level 9, $3 million to $10 million, true freedom finally shows up. At $4 million, the 4% rule gives you $160,000 a year. Work becomes genuinely optional. Not if everything goes right, optional, but I can quit on a Wednesday, optional. You stop checking your accounts because you don't need to. However, even here, a trap awaits: complexity. People in expensive suits will try to sell you on hedge funds and private equity, claiming your boring index funds are too simple for your new status. In reality, these sophisticated options often come with higher fees and worse returns than the simple strategy that got you there in the first place. Level 10 is the realm of $10 million and above, a different country entirely, where the financial system operates on an invisible set of rules. At this level, you don't necessarily sell assets to live, you borrow against them to fund your lifestyle, avoiding capital gains tax while your wealth continues to compound. It is a strategy known as buy, borrow, die, allowing heirs to receive assets at a stepped-up cost basis. At $14 million, a conservative withdrawal generates over $500,000 a year, more than most people earn in a decade. Yet, even at the top, there is a haunting statistic. 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation, and 90% lose it by the third. This failure isn't usually caused by bad investments. It is caused by a breakdown in family communication. Heirs are often handed a massive number without the philosophy or the mindset required to build and sustain it. You can spend 40 years protecting the money, but if you don't transfer the mindset, the wealth will eventually vanish. The ultimate gap in life isn't just about the final number in your bank account at age 67. It is the difference between the person who retired comfortably in a modest, paid-off car and the person still grinding at a job they hate to pay for a house they bought to impress people they no longer see. That gap was created by 1,000 small choices: the car payment at 29, the lifestyle jump at 38, and the savings rate that shrank every time the salary grew. There is no trophy for looking rich while building debt. The only scoreboard that matters is the one no one else can see: your assets minus your liabilities. Now that you know exactly which level you are standing on, the question is no longer, "What is my number?" but, "What is my next move?" Transitioning to the next level requires more than just watching. It requires sidestepping specific traps and building a plan tailored to your reality. Knowing your level is only the beginning of the journey toward true financial independence. If you are ready to stop performing wealth and start actually building it, you need a community that understands these levels and the mechanics of moving between them. Don't let your current level be your final destination. Would you like me to summarize the specific exit strategies for each level into a checklist? Or would you prefer I analyze the buy, borrow, die strategy in more detail?